Hi everybody, this is Shawna Odette from the Flying Cat Academy. Welcome to lesson number 10. This will be a review lesson, but if you need to teach a new grapheme-phoneme relationship to your student, then you can add that into the lesson at this point. To know what the student needs to learn, you can refer back to the core phonics survey that you did before lesson 1, and that will tell you if there are any unknown sounds or symbols that the student needs to work on. Let's get started. We're going to set up the table. We'll start with the sight word study method. You'll need your top 160 sight word list, the drill instruction sheets, the card pack on which the student is currently working. You will need some blank cards in case you need to give a new sight word, a highlighter, some markers, and some pencils. Moving on to the short vowel drill, you are going to need your teacher instruction sheet, the keyword pictures for apple, Eddie, itchy, olive, up, and your keyword sentence. For the phonemic awareness drill, you'll need the instruction sheet and the tiles. Then we'll go to the visual drill and the auditory drill. That's where you have your card pack. Remember that the card pack is only for the sounds and symbols on which the student is currently working. You'll remove the cards as they are mastered and add new ones when they're needed. Then we go to the blending drill. This one requires some setup in advance. You have your paper letter tiles all ready to go when the student arrives. Then we move on to the magnetic letter tile drill for reading and spelling. You'll need the cookie sheet and the magnetic letter tiles arranged in a rainbow shape. You'll have the syllable pounding sheet there, but we're not using it yet. And then there's that kinesthetic discovery method for when we teach a new phoneme and grapheme. That's the sheet that I'm really interested in these days because it's time for you to look back at that core phonics survey and identify what additional sounds is the student missing. What additional symbols don't they know? And this is where the targeted teaching comes in. And you can follow the 4 steps, the 4 different types of discovery, just as we've done in previous lessons. And you can add those into the lesson, just one at a time into lessons. Finally, you'll have the photocopies that come with the lesson plan, and those are all ready to go. And lastly, we'll have a card sort today. This will be, is it a closed syllable card sort? Now we're ready. We'll begin with the sight word study method. So student, take out your card pack, and you're going to read all the cards. Then you'll give your card pack to your teacher, and it's your teacher's turn to read. And you will write down each word after the teacher says it. Teacher, get ready for blocking strategies in case the student encounters some problems. Remember that you will be checking off the card when you write a word correctly or when you read a word correctly. You'll take out the mastered words from your pack, and if there's time, you can add a new sight word using the top 160 sight word list. It's time for the short vowel drill. So give me 5. You're going to trace the shape and say, with 2 fingers, apple, apple, and then you'll go on to Eddie, itchy, olive, and up. And teacher, this is a drill that you're looking for mastery, and we do know that the vowel sounds are the greatest source of confusion for students, but eventually these sounds will be mastered. And as the student gains fluency with the sounds, you'll decrease the number of times that they have to trace the shape. So if you figure that the student is ready to go down to 3 traces instead of 5, then you can make that decision. Eventually it'll be 2 and 1. And then finally, it will be time to remove the drill from the lessons. Do the short vowel drill and then do the keyword sentence, stretching out the vowel sounds, and then come back to me. Let's move on to the phonemic awareness drill. You will need your colored tiles for this one. So you can pull those out now. Take out a colored tile and call it P. Can you repeat that sound? Take out a different color and call it I. Can you repeat that sound? And then take a third tile and call it G. Now tap each tile and say the sounds, then underline it and say the whole word. Did you get pig, If you did, great job. Can you use the word pig in a sentence? What would I say? I saw a pig at the fair. What's your sentence? All right, if that word's pig, what I'd like you to do is find the I in pig. Put your finger on that I, and I want you to change that into an ah. What's your new word? Tap each sound and say it, and then blend the whole word together. That was a nonsense word. Did you get peg? Yeah, there's no meaning there, is there? Let's find the ah in peg and change it to an Tap your sounds and then blend it together to find your word. Did you get pug? Can you use that word pug in a sentence? A pug is a very cute dog. What would you say? Okay, if that is pug, find the g in pug. Are you touching it? Change the g into a ol. And what's your new word? Tap it and say it. This one will be a nonsense word, pull. Find the in pull and change it to an eh. What's your new word? Tap it and say it. Did you get pell? That's right. Let's turn this into a real word. So find the ol in pell and change it into an n. Now let's tap it and say the whole word. Did you get pen? Great work. Let's move on to the visual drill. So teacher, you're going to use the card pack that you have for your individual student because so many students are doing these lessons, and by now different students are working on different symbols and sounds. This is the drill where you ask the student to name the symbol and tell you the sound it makes. And if they've already mastered all the letter names, then they can just simply give the sound. Do about 6 to 8 different cards and then come back to me. Using the same card pack, we're going to move on to the auditory drill. This is where the teacher has the cards and they're not showing them to the student this time. The teacher looks at one and says, your sound is eh. Student, you repeat the sound. Now student, you're going to write down the symbol that goes with the sound eh. After you write it down, I want you to underline it and say the sound again. So teacher, you can do this for 6 to 8 cards and then come back to me. Your teacher has the blending drill already on your table for you. This is the drill where you tap it and say the sounds. So if the word was nip, I would go n, ip, and then I underline it and say the whole sound, nip. Then the teacher changes the card by 1 and you can repeat the drill until you're finished all the cards. We'll move into the review section of the lesson. So student, we've been talking about this idea of a syllable, and we've got some hand gestures to help us remember it. Let's say our special words to remember this. Ready? A syllable is a word or part of a word with one vowel pattern. We'll do it one more time. Ready? Here we go. A syllable is a word or part of a word with one vowel pattern. Let's review this by student. You can grab your magnetic letter tile board, and I want you to make one real syllable and one nonsense syllable, one that is not a syllable. And I want you to explain to your teacher why one is a syllable and why one is not. Okay, so we've been talking about closed syllables and what it means to be a closed syllable. Student, you have your rule card for the closed syllable in your book. So can you take that out now? We're going to review what it is. So a closed syllable has one short vowel. The vowel is followed by one consonant or more. It's like the consonants are closing the vowel in. And when you see that situation where there's one vowel followed by one or more consonants, you know how to read the vowel. It's going to be a short vowel because closed syllables always have the apple, Eddie, itchy, olive, up sounds, the short vowels. What I'd like you to do, student, is I'd like you to form the word not, and I'll even tell you the letters N-O-T. Just take them now and put them on your board, on your magnetic letter tile board. And I'd like you to explain to your teacher why not, N-O-T, is a closed syllable. Tell the little story of the babysitter, if you can remember it. And teacher, if there's any trouble remembering, you can help out and you can tell the story together. And then take the babysitter away to reveal the open syllable. So tell the two different stories. So not when you take the babysitter away, when you take the consonant T away, becomes, and you can tell your teacher. Do that activity, and then there is a closed syllable yes-no sort for you to complete. Remember that you don't have to read the words when you do a yes-no sort. You simply have to look at the syllable and think, is this a closed syllable? If it is, put it in the yes pile, and if it's not, put it in the no pile. Let's go back to that concept of the difference between a consonant and a vowel. Student, do you remember the difference between a consonant and a vowel? If you do, can you tell your teacher? And if there's any problem, teacher, you can help out. Have a discussion about that now. When you're done, I'd like you to point to all the vowels that you know, and then have a short discussion about why. When is it a vowel and when is it a consonant? And what sound does it make when it's a consonant? Now, teacher and student, if you feel like any of those three concepts, what is a syllable? What is a closed syllable? And what is the difference between a consonant and vowel? If you feel like any of those are mastered, then you can go into the closed syllable progression teacher and give the correct box a check to show that that concept has been mastered. And if you feel like the student is fluent with it, but they haven't quite got there on the mastery, there's a box for that as well. You want to be referring back to your closed syllable progression to be charting the student's progress as we move through the lessons. We're moving into the reading section of this lesson, so pull out your magnetic letter tiles. I guess they're right there, aren't they? And let's work on a word. Your sound is h. Can you repeat that sound? Now grab the tile that goes with h and pull it to the middle. Your next sound is ah. Can you repeat that sound? Find the tile that goes with ah and pull it to the middle. The next sound is t. Can you repeat that sound? Find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. Now tap and say each sound, and then blend them together and say the whole word. Did you get hat? If you did, great job. Put your tiles back, and then we'll start a new word. Your sound is Can you repeat that sound? Find the tile that goes with and pull it to the middle. The next sound is eh. Can you repeat that sound? Find the tile that goes with eh and pull it to the middle. Your last sound is t. Can you repeat that sound? Find the tile for t and pull it to the middle. Now tap and say each sound, and then underline it and say the whole word. Did you get net? If you did, great job. It's time to move on to the single word list. And teacher, you are keeping track of the time, and you'll know if there's time to read the whole list or if you should only assign part of the list. Once the student is finished, then you can move on to the connected text, which is the story. Finish that and then come back to me. We're heading into writing now, so we start off with our magnetic letter tiles, so get your board. And I'm going to tell you that your word is fog. Can you repeat that word? Can you use fog in a sentence? What would I say? I might say, I walked out into the thick fog. Okay, what's the first sound that you hear in fog? Find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. What is the second sound that you hear in fog. Find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. And what is the last sound that you hear in fog? Find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. Then you can tap it and say it. Fog. Put the tiles back and let's get ready for the next word. Your word is yet. Can you repeat that word? Can you use it in a sentence? I'm not sure about the time yet. What's the first sound that you hear in the word yet? Find the symbol, the correct tile, and pull it to the middle. What's the second sound that you hear in the word yet? Find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. And what's the last sound that you hear in the word yet? Find the correct tile and pull it to the middle. Then you can tap it and say it. Yet. Put your tiles away. Good job. Let's move on to some finger tapping, where we're tapping our fingers to our thumb, and then we're grabbing the whole word and pulling it and saying the whole word. I'll tell you, your word is bet. Can you tap out bet? And you'll say each sound as you tap it. So what 3 sounds do you hear in bet? And then grab the whole word and say the whole word. And now I'd like you to write it with your pencil. So you'll need your lined paper and your pencil. Do that now. Okay, I'm assuming that you're done. Your next word is fox. You are going to trace this one. So you'll trace the actual symbols for fox, the letters for fox, as you say the sounds. And you can do it on your hand, you can do it on your arm, you can do it on your leg, whatever you think. So what sounds do you hear in fox? Okay, trace and say it. And then write it. Teacher will help to check your work. For the last one, you can decide whether you would like to use the tapping method or the tracing method. Your word is mud. What sounds do you hear in mud? And after you trace it or tap it, write it down. Then there's only the sentences left. So teacher, you can read out the 3 sentences to the student and have the student pick the 2 that they would like to write. And then you guys can use chops to check it. And then you are finished. Before you go, we'll do a quick review. So get ready to tell me what a syllable is. Ready? Here we go. A syllable is a word or part of a word with 1 vowel pattern. Let's say it one more time. Ready? Here we go. A syllable is a word or part of a word with 1 vowel pattern. And then you can tell your teacher what it is to be a closed syllable. So it doesn't even have to be a real word here. And you would tell your teacher, why is this one a closed syllable? Can you tell the little story? Do that now. Okay, and if the babysitter went away, we would no longer have a closed syllable. The O would start screaming his name. He's so upset that the babysitter left. So now we have an open syllable. What would the new word say if the O was screaming his name? Fo. And the babysitter comes back and now we have closed it in. So the O can be nice and happy and just say his nice soft sound, his short sound, aw. So that would be fought. Okay, and then teacher, if you introduced a new grapheme or a phoneme in this lesson, you can review it at this time. And other than that, your lesson is done. So thanks for coming out. This is Shawna Odette from the Flying Cat Academy. Until next time.